when it comes to SpaceX, it's really interesting. The investor base is very broad and wide.
Right.
What do we know about the latest financing?
Yeah, so around $400 billion valuation, maybe greater than $400 billion. Right now, the share price being discussed is $208 to $212. There's still a little way to go. It could change, but it's quite a jump from the last valuation that we reported of $350 billion. Part of that reflects, of course, not just SpaceX's position in dominating commercial launch, but the Starlink component as well. And you talked about the investor base, like you have some of the biggest names in private growth equity and venture capital and the bigger family offices in this name. But the other investor appetite, the broader part, is on the hope that in the next few years, there might be some kind of spin-off of that Starlink business, which continues to grow robustly.
I mean, I have to ask you, I mean, there's been so much discussion over the last couple of days about Elon Musk and his leadership role at Tesla. I am curious as to what the leadership roles look like right now at SpaceX. I know as a figurehead, he's certainly prominent, but most of the work there is not necessarily being done by him.
It's a really good observation. And when you think about the mechanics of this round, which, by the way, is basically a concurrent primary, very small primary round that sets the price, then a much bigger tender or secondary, which gives employee liquidity. That is something that's overseen by the CFO of SpaceX, also Jared Birchall, who runs Elon Musk's family office, in coordination with the rest of the Treasury team there, and the board. Met very recently and talked about this. Of course, the structure of SpaceX is that they have Gwynne Shotwell as president and essentially COO running day-to-day operations. But I do increasingly hear that, Elon Musk turns up when it matters at the big moments. We saw him speak publicly about Starship at the last attempt. It does beg the question, could the valuation have been higher? I had heard at various points in recent weeks a much higher valuation was discussed, but obviously Musk right now is very focused on his, what should we call it, tit for tat with the president.
I, in a conversation with one of the banks, for example, that works with their clients on buying some of these shares, right. I'm hearing that it's one of those things nobody wants to let go of. So it's something where the stock becomes in very short supply. The valuation has just absolutely skyrocketed. How does this compare with the rest of Musk's empire? Because obviously we're not seeing the same kind of love in every stock, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, it's why I think the mechanism is very interesting, right? This concurrent, very small primary, the sale of very limited number of new shares to set price and valuation, the main thing being the tender for employee liquidity. But as we've reported on, it really is a matter of who you know. Do you know Jared Birchall, who runs Elon Musk's family office? Do you know the CFO at SpaceX and Gwynne in order to get in on those rounds? Similar structures at XAI. XAI has used debt and primary or fresh equity raises, and secondaries have played a part across Elon Musk's empire, and then you have the Tesla public component. Yeah. But again, the demand on the secondary market for this name is so high all the time. It's almost a liquid market when you take into account SPVs and block sellers, things like that. But it is still hard to get, and it's hard to get in.